Jack Perry requested and was denied his AEW release. He is still under contract, but there are still no plans to bring him back to AEW. He has not spoken to Tony Khan in months, nor cleared anything he has done in storyline for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, sure.
Like him tearing up the AEW contract or his use of the term scapegoat. So obviously that's not true. And so
at this point, they are actively participating in Tony's storylines, I think.
Right. Well, absolutely. And so Jack Perry disputes this shit that Bryan says. And so where was the other one here?
Next week, Bryan Alvarez is going to be like, I've got it on good authority that Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland are having some big time personal issues.
Here, this is the one here. Meltzer said what? Everyone, yeah. Go follow at Meltzer said what, because he's got it down. This is the guy right here. So the ghost of CM Punk still haunting Jungle Boy's dreams. So this is where Meltzer comes into it, I believe. Yes, Wrestling Observer, Figure 4. So regarding Jack Perry, who has now been gone for 7 months since the incident with CM Punk at Wembley Stadium and people thinking he's been fired, he's still under contract and obviously is working only for NJPW. While my belief is that he should have been punished for doing that line at the Wembley show, Real Glass, Cry Me a River. It's so cringy, which led to the confrontation of CM Punk and resulted in Punk being fired. But 2 months should have been long enough. If he had actually physically started the fight, that would be a different story. Tony Khan has never answered any questions regarding Perry. That way we've heard it. He was sent home after Wembley and never heard back from Khan. So wait, okay. The way we heard it, he was sent home and never heard back from Khan. Okay. Apologize. It's just
they're saying he has not spoken to Tony Khan since Wembley.
It's hard to read. Like, it's literally hard to read. He did hear from the company through lawyers. Then they talked and he apologized to Khan, but he still hasn't been brought back. What they are doing now in Japan is storyline. What they are doing now in Japan is storyline to lead to an eventual.
He can't write.
A storyline.
How is this guy a writer?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to read it. It's like, oh, Phil's fucking drunk. Yeah, dude. Okay, I can read and write. This is so stupid. I struggle with it so much every time. It's not a bit that everyone does on every fucking podcast. You can't read Marble Mouth Dave. Anyways, what he's trying to say is, yeah, there was a fucking storyline they're doing leading to an eventual return. What are your thoughts on all this? Like, do you think this is true or just a storyline?
The only question that I have about this is whether they are actively participating in the work or if they're getting worked.
They're getting fucking worked. I feel like are
they doing Tony a solid by pushing the narrative?
They're pushing the narrative. That's all it is. They're trying so hard right now. It's desperation time. This is how we get to it. More desperation time. Dave Meltzer. This is more Dave though, and this is all courtesy of at Meltzer said what. Follow him, please, guys. So, it comes to The Rock and Brian Gurewitz, who we talked about earlier, and sorry, how do you say it?
Gewurz.
Everyone
says Gurewitz. I used to say Gurewitz, and then one day I just looked. I heard somebody say I think I heard Bruce Pritchard say Gewurz, and I was like, "That's weird." And then I looked at like the name, and I was like, "Oh, it is Gewurz."
And that's what it is. Okay, fair enough. So basically, Meltzer's like, or there's this whole narrative coming from Wrestling Observer. Here, sorry, we're gonna get into that after. And it's basically him just saying, like, The Rock is going overtime and using language that's profane. So here, at Cultaholic Wrestling, The Rock's WWE SmackDown segment overran time cut on matches again. And then David, what is it? Gurewitz?
Brian Gewurz.
David, I'm saying. Brian Gewurz.
Yeah, you got everything wrong on that one.
Okay, there you go. He's saying that it's bullshit, and the actual, here we go. The segment went 30 seconds under its allotted 20 minutes. So I don't know how you even calculate that backstage. You got a stopwatch at BFG 728 or whatever the fuck his thing is. But yeah, so that's Brian Gewurz directly responding to that and just like burying that exceptionally. And then Dave Meltzer, though, he just is like, one person noted that there was a feeling that the era of Vince McMahon's double standards for his handpicked stars and for everyone else was over. And then The Rock shows up and it's exactly the same. Wrestling Observer newsletter on frustrations in WWE backstage, allegedly over The Rock using certain language. And then The Rock responded and said, "This is complete horseshit," to WrestleLamia's thing. Yeah, sorry guys. I was fucking watching the fights here. Dudes are getting knocked out and shit, so I was a little distracted. Wrestling Observer newsletter. TKO would like The Rock to follow and set a good example. It's guidelines of TV, PG product. However, many feel the double standard. So who's the many people he's talking about? A writer, his stooge. It's all bullshit. And The Rock goes, "This story is complete horseshit." The Rock himself. And there's a bunch more that Meltzer said posted on this. There has been talk among talent and outside with some frustration about the double standard involving Dwayne Johnson. But of course, there is a double standard involving Dwayne Johnson. Call him The Rock. And always will be when it comes to someone with that level of star power. This exists in wrestling just as it would in Hollywood, which, okay, I'll give you that.
At the end of the day, yeah. Who wants PG Rock? Nobody wants PG Rock.
I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean?
Nobody wants The Rock like going out there and not being The Rock. Like, you want the guy that you watched on TV in the late 90s and early 2000s. You know, right. It's I think it's ridiculous to want The Rock and then be mad because he's being The Rock.
Right. And it says wrestling, it goes on to say wrestling has always had double and triple standards, which, like, a fucking redundant statement, depending on one's position. And then I don't know. So The Rock just cooked them. There's more here. There was a memo sent. So this is what The Rock responded to. Like, they're going, Wrestling Observer's going, there was a memo. Like, they're going deep into it. You know what I mean? And so there was a memo sent just a few weeks ago to all talent from Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, and Don Ventrell, EVP of talent, which states that this is a PG company, no swearing, and said blah 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 blah. So they're sending memos. We're sending a memo. TV 14. It's not yet. The talent was told that because the company was publicly traded and the wishes of TKO management was to be TV PG, the feeling was that if he was on the board, he should be the one to lead by example. They're making shit up. The Rock goes, "This is complete horseshit." That's all that matters. Yeah, Marv, your thoughts on that shit? Dave Meltzer just fucking epically failing.
I mean, I think this is the biggest moment of Meltzer's life. The Rock has acknowledged his existence.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're even lucky that happened, pal.
Yeah, I think he is getting cooked left and right lately. Right. He has never been on a worse like string that he's been on lately, because he's just taken bullet after bullet lately, from people just discrediting him completely.
And he said, and he goes, "One person noted." That's what I wanted to, like, one person noted there was a feeling that the era of Vince McMahon's. What the fuck are you talking about? You're trying to correlate this motherfucker to Vince McMahon?
Of course, yeah, that's very strategic to bring up Vince.
So fucking
very strategic.
Crazy.